Hello, and welcome to another great day of NGS action. Today we have Crimson Cyber Squad versus Solo Lane, a Yavapai Community Municipal Youth Chess Club, and Swim Team Story Samuro Clone Wars. Now this should be a pretty good game, should be a pretty solid series, but to really get into both these teams, let's take a look at the standings for Division E. So, they are both near the bottom of the board. I mean, it's fine. It happens. It's a 6-team division. Someone has to be at the bottom. Someone has to be at the top. But what I really enjoy and what I really care about is that these two teams are pretty close in the rankings. And the most entertaining games do happen when they are close. So, Solo Lane, the Yavapai Community Municipal Youth Chess Club team and Swim Team Story Somewhere Clone Wars do have 4 points right now, whereas Crimson Cyber Squad is sitting at 1, looking for their first win today. Now, the map picks and bans have already happened. And if we do take a look, map pick was selected by Crimson Cyber Squad as they are the home team. And this is a double elimination division, so there is no coin flip. It is simply selected by the home team. And with that, they decided to ban Volskaya Foundry and Towers of Doom, whereas Yavapai decided to ban Praxis Holdout and Dragonshire. So map number 1 is going to be the Cursed Hollow. Now, Cursed Hollow, obviously, pretty tall map, pretty large map, and I mean, there's a lot of space there. You know, a lot of globals are definitely going to be coming in. We're likely to see the Brightwing. We're likely to see the Dahaka. Gonna see a little bit of that, oh, what's that other one? Falstad. Wouldn't be surprised to see any of them. Now, it is going to be a little bit before we start the game. The captains did let me know ahead of time that there would be a couple players that'll be slightly late, still within the 15-minute rule, and they made sure to emphasize that. But we will have to take a little bit of time before we can get the games going. So with that, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's stream, Tiki Solitaire 3peaks. Tiki Solitaire 3peaks is a 3peaks solitaire game, as you can figure in the title. And it's pretty relaxing, is a ton of fun, has that nice island theme. So it's like a little vacation every single time you play on your phone. Free to download, and every download and every few goals that you can see over down at the bottom of your screen help me out a lot as a caster. But now with that, hopefully we're going to get started soon, because they said now there's going to be a couple of little issues in terms of work stuff. And also a quick shout out to Model the Mixture. I did say it in chat, but thank you for the Prime subscription. I don't always give shout outs to followers, but for any Prime subscribers, any actual like donations, bits, etc., I'll always make sure to give a proper vocal thank you. It's only right. But this game should be a pretty interesting one, because even though they are at the bottom of the standings, this could be their opportunity to try and kind of like slip away out of it. Because if, once again, we do look over at the standings, and I'm even going to take a look at the actual games played. Unfortunately, this graphic does not have it. Both these two teams are at 3 matches played compared to everyone else who's currently at 4. So if Yavapai is able to win, they're actually going to be in 4th place, which I'm not sure how the playoffs work for this division. I'm not sure if 4 or possibly all 6 teams go to the playoffs, but top 4 would definitely get them in. And even with a domination from CCS would get them well within range for making those playoffs. So even though if they are at the bottom, this would definitely be a pretty close, it could get them pretty close to those playoff spots. And then one final thing I do want to mention, well, I say final, I'm probably going to be talking for quite a bit. I will talk your heads off. That is kind of my job for today. But we are guaranteed going to have a double cast today. So Series 1 is going to be CCS versus Yavapai for Division E. But once that's done, we're heading over to the Heroic Division and doing potential Scrim Thursday versus 9 to 5. That's scheduled for 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. I forget which one's Central. I think that'd be 8:30 Central. I was confused Mountain Time and Central. I don't know why. But if we do go over, I've already asked the captains. We're already in agreement. They are willing to wait. So we will be having that doubleheader today, no matter what. And as you probably all know by now, I always look forward to these double casts. I think it's a ton of fun. As we are finally seeing the last few players slowly trickle in, just waiting on one more. And we can get started with the first match of today. Oh, JK, that wasn't someone from the game. That was a rando. But now the 9th player has joined, and now we're waiting for just one more. But hopefully we can get this started soon. I don't know why they keep joining. So many players like doing that for the games. There's players that aren't part of the game trying to join the lobbies. Yeah, and I guess I can talk a little bit about my predictions for this series. But to be completely honest, I'm not even sure if I do have any specific predictions between these two teams. I haven't seen Yavapai play yet. At least not in terms of my own live cast. I've seen a couple clips here and there. But I have seen CCS play quite a bit. And in their games, they have had close series. You wouldn't guess it by their points, seeing as they are currently bottom of the table at 1 point. But they have looked good in the games that I have cast. Just one of those things, they're not able to convert it to the finish. But what that also means is that if they're able to get over the hurdle, and if they were able to get over the hurdle between this week, then so this is So they have been showing that they're slowly but surely able to start winning a couple games. They got 2-0'd by Habitual Line Steppers and 2-0'd by 30 Seconds to Mosh. But those are the two kind of like top tier teams. 30 Seconds to Mosh and Habitual Line Steppers, they're both sitting at 12 and 11 points respectively. 2 dominations apiece as well. And then Yavapai, looking over at their results, they've actually already won a series as well, and they have beaten 30 Seconds to Mosh, lost to Really Aggro Ghoul Elites, and have lost to Trial by Annihilation, where they also went 2-1. So these are two teams that are kind of close. Tell us about my HOTS career? Ooh, I don't think you want to know about that. I mean, okay. I used to be good when it comes to gaming. That has not been true for a while. I think that okay, so I guess I can tell you a little bit about my life story. But the 5th player, we just got confirmation, is on the way, should be here shortly. But yeah, so for HOTS, I did play Division C for a little while. We didn't do too great. I think we made playoffs barely and got taken out in the first round, so that was fun. And then overall, I am primarily a DPS player. Right now, I'm low platinum. I've peaked at platinum 1, but that was years ago, back when I actually played. And now with my current job, it does take a lot of time and energy out of me. Being able to play is difficult for me. And I think that's because I have very high standards for myself. I used to play Dota, and I was a very high tier competitive player. I was, I guess, the equivalent of Grandmaster in HOTS at Dota. But now I don't have the time to dedicate to it. I'm not as good as I know I can be, which makes playing not enjoyable, which makes me want to put in even less time. And it's just an absolute rotation. You know how it is. But I still enjoy HOTS. I've even played a couple of games today, lost all of them. 2 of them 100% because of me. But I've started learning how to play and just having fun with the game itself. And at the end of the day, that's what Heroes of the Storm really should be about. Just having a blast playing the game, seeing the different heroes, seeing the different strategies. But in spite of all that, I did not want to leave esports. I even had a brief, a year and a half, I owned my own League of Legends organization. We played tier 3, and we were one of the better teams. We hit top 8 a couple times. Could never get through top 4 though. But but outside of that, it was I don't think I've really gotten too much else. I played a couple LANs for League of Legends, but I never really broke past Diamond. Still wasn't too good there. Grubby says Dota 2 is the most difficult game he's ever played. Dota's very difficult. HOTS is like, I will say this as someone who has been good at Dota and who is terrible at HOTS. HOTS is a lot easier than Dota. League is a lot easier than Dota. But they are different games. I've always put it kind of, Dota's a strategy game, League of Legends is a fighting game, and HOTS is like perfectly in between, where individual mechanics really matter a lot, whereas some stuff like, whereas macro in League, if you're good at fighting, you don't need to care about macro to look at the absolute top level. It does make a difference, but the macro is very simple. In Dota, my mechanics were awful, and I still hit the top tier just because I was a position 5 support. For any of you Dota players that do know that, team captain in my competitive team. We even played for a qualifier for a major and hit 9th place, so we just barely missed the close qualifier. Easily my most embarrassing gaming moment, because I believe we were up against a team of some pretty big streamers. There was like, I want to say 5,000 or 6,000 players watching us just get absolutely stomped. It was embarrassing. It was like 32-2. And our team got so mad about that loss that we ended up disbanding right after that loss. And that's kind of the end of my like truly competitive career where I was actually pushing Go Pro. So I guess I'm kind of ranting on about that, but Ogio, you ask what kind of work I do. I'm a software developer and I primarily work in banking. So I've actually just recently got promoted. So that's going to be a ton of fun with that. Would I agree HOTS is the one that most requires team coordination to win? Honestly, probably not. No, I think Dota it still does need a little bit more. HOTS is very close with it, though. And that's not to say that I'm being negative about it. That's not that I'm being negative about HOTS. But I think a lot of that does come into play between mechanics or being a fighting game and being a strategy game. And because HOTS is in between, it's in between. Team coordination in Dota matters so much, especially in that late game. Whereas in HOTS, if you're strong mechanically, like if you're one of those overpowering Li Ming players, if you're one of those, I mean, we've all seen the Samuro plays. You can solo win games. It is much, much more difficult to have that happen in Dota. I think the best way to put it is how far can you get on a Smurf? How high can your win percentage be? And I think anyone good will end up at the top ranks, but it'll take a lot more to get to the top tier. But regardless, we have our 10th player, and thank you, Model, by the way, for the promotion. So very appreciate that. Well, we should be getting going into our game number 1 after that short life story, I guess, it ended up being. But I'm always happy to share. But now, time to get back into game mode. I don't even know how people do that. My headset gets in the way. But it is going to be Cursed Hollow between Crimson Cyber Squad. And let me open my notepad. Solo Lane, a Yavapai County Municipal Youth Chess Club and Swim Team Story, Samuro, Clone Wars, and Sonic and Friends. And they're getting ready for their first game. It's going to be the Stukov banned away from CCS. Not going to be able to play that. And also, quick shout out to one of the members of CCS, Omster. Pretty new caster on the scene, but has been absolutely smashing it. Casts so much, almost as much as I do. Actually, I think with the replays, might even be ahead of me at this point. But we'll see. Either way, they've been doing a great job. If you haven't checked their stream out, I highly recommend it. Definitely a massive up-and-comer in the NGS casting industry. Now, Joanna and Oriel are going to be the 2 bans for CCS, and Leoric was banned away by Yavapai. So that's going to be some pretty interesting bans. 2 healers, a tank, and an offlaner. And then Luna instantly going to lock in the Brightwing. It is Cursed Hollow, so having that global presence, having that phase shift, is going to be able to help quite a bit. It's going to be able to give them a little bit of that healing across map, help them with the offlane, and at the same time kind of catch up on Soak. But now CCS is going to lock in Chromie and Anduin, 2 very powerful heroes. Anduin also adds a lot of safety to the team with the Leap of Faith, and that kind of is the main point of the Anduin. But at the same time, with the 2 heroic abilities they do have, could either get the... where's Hoku? Sorry, I'm not going to continue on my point. Andrade has locked in the Muradin, but where is Hoku? There is in Artanis locked in right now. So this is going to be a fun game for them. And I'm surprised to see it picked so early. This is a very big confidence play. I'm wondering what build it will be over onto Saraline. I believe that's how it's pronounced. If I'm incorrect, please let me know. Or, yeah. But I'm just going to call them Saraline for now. As Sergeant Hammer going to get banned by CCS. And Dahaka going to get banned by Yavapai. Now, Artanis is pretty interesting because doesn't really have a lot of crowd control. Has the Phase Prism to swap, but that's really it. Not too much else. And also does have the Blind as the heroic ability, assuming they don't go to the laser. But now, very interesting picks coming through from CCS. The Varian and the Kerrigan locked in for Tunley and Orion. These are some really confident picks going into Yavapai, and maybe that's just their style, but I'd guess they're feeling pretty good if they're picking these. Kerrigan, obviously difficult to play, but if you build around it, can it be incredibly powerful. Now, with these picks and with the other players that are getting picked onto Yavapai, I do suspect it will be the Light Bomb coming out of Code Monkey for this game. Sarah Lynn, thank you very much, Raka. I will remember that, and I always appreciate that. Now, Camel going to lock in Jaina, and Shank going to lock in Raynor, and the Vikings for Omster. Okay. So that's going to be a forecourt Kerrigan, and the Lost Vikings going to be soaking up along the rest of the map. This is a very fun draft from CCS. I mean, same with Yavapai. The Artanis pick, like, I don't know. This should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see all the fighting that both these two teams do. This should be an absolute blast for game number 1, which we'll be heading into right away. All right, and we are back, just finishing loading in right now for game number 1 between Crimson Cyber Squad and Solo Lane Yavapai County Municipal Youth Chess Club and Swim Team Story Samuro Clone Wars. And now, some pretty interesting drafts happening here. I mean, obviously, we see Ohmster going to be playing the Lost Vikings. Hopefully, they're not going to get too lost this time around, and they're going to be able to get that soak into all 3 lanes. But the difficulty is it is going to be picked into Artanis, who is going to be going amateur opponents. So looking towards that kind of standard offlane build, not looking for that auto attack quest. I didn't expect it to get locked in, but always fun to see when that is the build played by the Artanis. Now, a bit of a different start coming out from both these two teams. DCS is going to immediately go into the bot lane, whereas Yavapai is looking close towards the mid lane, and they're looking to just absolutely tank onto that first structure. And they're going to be able to take the cannon tower down immediately. Now, Xtrix and Orion are going to take a decent amount of poke, but Ohmster's Olaf is able to kind of prevent any further chase. But now it is getting traded out into the mid lane. They do have that full wave to push in with. And now the rest of the team is here. CCS looking for Oraluna, but not going to be able to continue with the push. Just going to be using the Lion's Fang to help push them away. Now, they didn't end up taking down any of the structures, but I do think overall the amount of damage dealt by Yavapai was higher. But by being able to take down is going to be that extra little bit of XP going over towards CCS. And now CCS is doing a pretty interesting strategy where they're bringing most of their team mid lane, and they're actually letting the Vikings split 1, 1, and 1. So they are going to be soaking every single lane while they're going to get started over onto their camps. Now Shank also getting started on that siege camp and does have the exterminator, so should be able to clear them out very quickly and be back on the map in no time. But with that, they're going to come back in mid, and they are looking towards a bruiser camp. I don't know if Xtrix is planning on starting it with the Dragon's Breath. Definitely going to be starting over onto that bruiser camp. But a little bit of soak is still being missed by Ohmster. And I think a big part of that is just a little bit of an issue coming with the happening with the Vikings. As for the delay, there is a 30-second delay as per the NGS rules. Every NGS cast will have at least a 30-second delay, and I always make sure to listen in on that. But now, Sarah Lynn able to push out the top side into that camp. But now the mid lane wall already taken down by Yavapai. They do have the first move here. They're able to get the push. But level 4 now hit by Tunley, and that's where the taunt comes through. But Shank able to just push them away with a penetrating round. Just kind of prevent any of those catches from coming through. And it is going to be a decent bit of back and forth as both these two teams are just kind of trying to push each other away. Right now, Yavapai definitely on the winning end of this with the damage they've managed to deal over in that mid lane. And now Sarah Lynn is going to get started onto this bruiser camp already halfway down. And should be easier to finish off the last little bit with the exterminator, or sorry, what's the name for this? The amateur opponent for Sarah Lynn is able to tank quite well. But now there's a little bit of a jump over on the top side, but Andrade just going to be able to jump away with the dwarf toss. It is very difficult to kill a Muradin, but now they're looking to go forward. Oraluna is going to be here as well, but the taunt does land on Oraluna, and they are jumping, able to get the stun, and Oraluna is going to be the first blood, going to get taken down. But now Olaf has gotten killed, I believe, over in the bot lane. But with that, that is a kill going over towards CCS. They've managed to get the tribute as well. So decent bit of victory for them. They're going to have that extra little bit of XP, and they're going to have that extra tribute going forward. But now Eric also going to get taken down over in the bot lane. Shank obviously able to deal quite a bit of damage. Now Tunley just trying to poke Andrade away, keep them away as they push in the lane, collect a little bit of extra soak. Now they are roaming all the way down, and Shank, they are pinging onto it. But Shank is just going to wisely back away, will be safe behind the wall. With Dragon's Breath, they will be able to get a little bit of poke damage onto these structures, but I don't expect they'll be able to get too much. But now, in the meanwhile, Yavapai over in the mid lane is throwing all of these blizzards onto it, but now they're meeting each other as the second tribute is spawning. They have the tribute, they have the taunt onto Camel, and Camel trying to run away, but will get pulled back by Orion, and now Orion just autoing onto Andrade. The Sarah Lynn also going to be here, going to swap into Orion, but Orion actually has a little nook, and Sarah Lynn stuck between the team, but will dodge away on the pull, as I do need to recheck these abilities. Primal Grasp and Impaling Blades. The Primal Grasp just barely sidestepped, but CCS, they're able to push them away. They're able to get the one kill for themselves, so now they have the second tribute, and if they get one more, that will be the curse. And now the camps are starting to respawn for both these teams. Xterx, Orion, Tunley, and Code Monkey one by one come in and are going to get started on this siege camp. However, Yavapai is going to push in their lane first. They want to make sure they have first move, as Shank slowly going to start roaming over towards their own siege camp. Both the bonus damage should be able to kill it decently fast. And this next tribute also will be spawning over on the bot side here, right next to the watchtower. So Yavapai should have a pretty solid chance of getting this. This is in their own territory, and both teams are currently at level 9, but this could change things as CCS look to take the boss camp right on spawn. Now, my question is, are they planning on taking this and then pushing in, or are they looking to just grab the boss and then maybe start playing on the top side and looking towards the top lane boss? I think they are not going to have time to walk in and try to contest this tribute. But I think that considering the spawn location, it isn't in their best interest to contest it regardless. But they are walking forward, and Sarah Lynn already on it, but they're not able to interrupt it. But now they have the stun. They have the light bomb onto the back line, but Orion's the one that's getting low, and Orion will be the first one to go down. Now Code Monkey gets hit by the stun and will get finished off. Ohmster trying to run away with the Olaf, and is slowly able to get away, but still at around 300 HP. Gets hit with a Stormhammer. One more hit, but with the taunt, Ohmster will be okay. But they still have to deal with the boss. Their entire bot lane wall gets taken down. So Yavapai are able to finally get 2 kills back for themselves, but they had to bring all 5 members down. And Ohmster is on the Vikings. When you bring all 5 members, everything else is still getting soaked up. Ohmster even able to take down a good chunk of the structures over in this top lane. Got to finish off the entire wall. And with Eric is able to get all of the last hits over in the mid lane, able to get all of the soak. And with that, the XP lead isn't that far away, despite them losing a good chunk of their own structures. Now both teams gonna start looking towards this top lane tribute. And this is a position where Yavapai is the aggressor, but they're looking to get it. Sarah Lynn gotta get canceled by Ohmster. Now the polymorph does come through. Tunley not gonna be able to get the light bomb, only on one, but now the water elemental has come through, and they have the impale blades onto so many members. Ohmster trying to deal damage in the backline, but now the laser is coming through. Sarah Lynn is still stunned and is trying to jump back and forth. Orion also getting low. Chastise does land, and with the swap, it's going to come through. So far, 2 for 1 in favor of Yavapai. Looking towards Tunley, has the taunt, is trying to stay alive, but Xterx is going to get taken down on the top side of our screen, and that should be another victory for Yavapai, as Ohmster trying to run away, but one more hit from Shank will finish that off. So 2 3/4 to 1, and they also have the tribute. But in terms of level advantage, it's still even for both these two teams. The level advantage is still even, and the talent advantage is even, and none of the structures have been fully taken down yet. But now Ohmster with Olaf trying to get a little bit of push over the bot side, as we see Yavapai going to finish off their boss camp. So now that's going to be pushing in top, but luckily for CCS, the next tribute is also on the top side, so they can defend it while still contesting it at the same time. But now it's going to be the Bruiser camp finished off by CCS. They're going to have that pushing in for mid lane, but it will also be answered by Sarah Lynn, as Ohmster trying to take away this boss camp. And I always forget Balog. I think Balog's one of those less standard names compared to Olaf and Eric, so that's why I can never remember it. Now, Tommy looking for Andrade, but will not go for the taunt. Instead, just kind of zoning them away, trying to make sure they can clear away this boss instead. But the tribute is spawning, and it is a temporal loop for Chromie. I believe we saw it in the last team fight, but I was focusing on the other components. But level 13 now hit by both teams. Tunley looking for the taunt, but hasn't actually used it yet. But now they're jumping onto the backside. Ohmster gonna get hit. And now they have the light bomb. Lands on it too this time around. But can they get anything? It is on Andrade and Sarah Lynn. Gold Monkey getting hit by the shock ray and just taking so much damage. Orion trying to fight against Andrade. And the Anduin's going to go down as well. Shank just dealing damage from the back line. Now we see both sides of the fight going poorly. Andrade at 150 HP, able to back away and actually levels up. But now Sarah Lynn is going to get taunted. But Camel will finish off the tribute, and the first curse goes the way of Yavapai. And now they can walk forward. There's no fort. There's no protection. Orion gonna get finished off here. Xtrix is getting chased by Andrade, but with no other DPSs following, shouldn't be able to get the kill. But definitely trying with the taunt. Tunley gonna be able to push Andrade away a little bit. And even if Andrade's not able to get the kill onto Xtrix, it's still buying a lot of space over on this top side. They're able to just free DPS onto that fort. And now they're onto the wall as Balog will go down to the bot lane. Shank still looking for Ohmster's other Vikings and is able to take down Eric off screen as well. And actually all 3 Vikings getting finished off. And now there's a massive wave pushing over in the mid lane. The top wall is gone as well. So this is an incredibly valuable curse. And they might even be able to get these keeps. But now Andrade gonna get hit with the temporal loop, but the light bomb not going to connect. But they still got more than half HP on this top lane keep. This mid lane keep might go down. It will definitely get low. They are pinging onto the cannon, trying to clear it away, but there might just be too many, and there is. Mid lane keep gonna get finished off by Yavapai. And solo lane, the Yavapai County Municipal Youth Chess Club and Swim Team Stories, Samuro, Clone Wars, and Sonic and Friends Return of the King are really doing well in this first game. Already at level 16, have over a level lead and have the talent lead right now. Kind of. There is a Chromie, so fast forward is going to be there. But they're looking to play aggressively. They're looking to take down this boss camp. And with this, they should be able to finish it off. CCS is starting to walk forward, but they might be just a little bit too late. They see the boss camp go down. Tunley trying to stand on the point, and they are able to get on there. Orion's there as well, but with the Blizzard just dealing so much damage, Orion got to get finished off. The boss will get finished off, and Ohmster will get finished off. That's going to be Yavapai getting the boss and getting the team fight. Almost 3 full kills, thanks. The Vikings 2/3. He has 2 2/3 kills. And now they're going to have the boss pushing onto this final wall that CCS still has to their name. And they should be able to clear this out. They've already finished off the entire wall. The boss hasn't even arrived yet. And now they're looking straight for the keep. And honestly, Yavapai, with the amount of health this boss has, they could look to just try and end the game. They're dealing so much damage, and it does look like they want to try, but every member of CCS is back up. They have the taunt, and they're able to get onto Shank, but Shank is going to be able to survive. They have the protection coming through, all the healing in the backline, but Tunley will be the first to go down, and now they have the stun over to the backline, but Shank still surviving, and everyone on CCS just going to go down. Orion, one more final hit, and it's a full 3-0. Boss is still hitting, and this should be the game number 1 going to solo lane, a Yavapai County Municipal Youth Chess Club and Swim Team Stories Somewhere Clone Wars, and Sonic and Friends Return of the King Tournament of Champions. And it was a pretty close game going on in the early parts of the map. And CCS, they even had a pretty solid early lead. And they're showing the signs of life that I wanted to see from them in this series. Now, game number 1 definitely didn't go the way they wanted, because once Yavapai were able to take the lead, they were able to hold on to it, and they were able to pressure in with it. It was just that one team fight. They got the lead, they got the curse, and the value from the curse was immense. Now, that being said, we are going to go to a short break, but when we come back, it'll be game number 2. Don't go anywhere. And we are back for game number 2 between Crimson Cyber Squad and Solo Lane of Yavapai County Municipal Youth Chess Club and Swim Team Story Samuro Clone Wars. Now, Yavapai for short is going to be ahead right now. They have the 1-0 lead over CCS. And if they're able to win the second one, that will be 4 points and actually pop them right into 4th place. But CCS, currently sitting at 1 point for the season, really need this win. And if they're even able to win just one map, it would be pretty big for them and would definitely help with confidence and momentum. Now the draft has already started. So far the same bands going to be the Stukov banned away by Yavapai and Joanna getting banned away by CCS. Now both those drafts were pretty interesting to watch, and I'm wondering if we're going to have some similar interesting picks coming out. Orion did play the Kerrigan and Ohmster on the Vikings. Always fun to watch. And then on top of that, we even had the Artanis. One of the few times where Hoku was not in the audience, unfortunately, but we can always let them know afterwards. But Dahaka and Brightwing going to be the final 2 bands. Brightwing is a new band this time around. Was picked by Orluna. Will not be able to play it this time around. The phase shift was very powerful, especially on that tall map. And we are on Alterac Pass, so it's going to be another very tall and large map. But that does mean Anduin is available, and Yavapai have first pick this time around, so they're going to be able to lock that in for themselves. So the extra safety will be there. But now CCS, who are they going to pick for their first 2? It is a different map, but still pretty similar. They're going to take the Chromie once again for Extrix, but this time with the Rhaegar, as Anduin has already been picked. And I do like Chromie. I think Chromie, especially on this map, is very powerful, able to kind of prevent the camps from getting taken. Specifically the prisoner camps, I should mention. And Junkrat for Serlin, going to be able to accomplish about the same thing. Just able to throw the grenades over the wall of the concussion mine just makes it so difficult to grab. And we do see a Stitch is locked in for Andrade. So that's going to be a very, very different game. And trying to deal with the Stitches on All-Track Pass is so difficult. It's so easy to just land the hook over the wall. And at the very least, you're going to interrupt. You're going to buy a little bit of time. And maybe with that interruption, you'll be able to get another interruption. So on and so forth. Until the map is no longer in a state where the enemy can really look forward to taking those prisoner camps. But now Li Ming going to be the next band coming out from CCS, trying to prevent that double over the wall poke and DPS. I think there are still a few options. Something like the Tassadar could be available, but Li Ming definitely going to be the worst offender in that role. Now, the final ban that's going to be coming out of Yavapine, I'm wondering what they want to get rid of. Could try to get rid of a tank that maybe Stitches wouldn't want to deal with, but no, they are just going to ban away the Leoric. Try and remove that offlane that's pretty good at taking down the backline, and especially at level 20, once that Entomb also silences, becomes super difficult for Aura Luna and Sarah Lynn to actually play within it. Unless Aura Luna is outside of it, in which case it's okay, but either way, if they don't want it, much easier to just remove it and not have to worry about it. But now next 2 picks is going to be an Uberak, and once again the Artanis. Lots of Artanis picks today, but I really like the Anubarak for Tunley as well. It's very good at taking down backline heroes, especially ones like Junkrat that are able to jump away across the map basically at a moment's notice with a concussion mine. And it's also one of those abilities with a cocoon that you cannot leap of faith to safety. If you're able to time it well, you can just absolutely burst whoever you catch into that. But the pigs are... What? The picks are still coming through. We have the Kira for Camel and the Samuro for Shank B. Or Shank B9. That... I don't even know what really to say about that. I mean, plenty of damage going to be coming through. The Junkrat Stitches combos there. The Kira is going to be able to deal a lot of DPS. And dealing with the Samuro, especially on Alterac, is so incredibly annoying. Samuro is going to be able to get just a little bit of those... of that time on the prisoner camp before it becomes a or before anyone can really deal with it. Only needs to be alone. But now Orion gonna lock in the Thrall as the final pick, and that will be a melee assassin Thrall. And with that, another really interesting set of drafts coming in for both these two teams. With that being said, game number 2 is Yavapai gonna get the domination, or will CCS be able to pull it off and get their second win of the season? And we are in Alterac Pass between Crimson Cyber Squad and Soul Lane, a Yavapai County Municipal Youth Chess Club and Swim Team's Starry Samuro Clone Wars. Now, it should be a pretty interesting game, and like I was saying, a lot of really interesting picks this time around. Gonna be a lot of fun to see how they decide to play, what style they're gonna go for. But as of the start, Shank B9 going to be able to go immediately to the top side. So they're not going to bring all 5 members for this mid lane fight. They're not going to bring all 5 members for this skirmish. But now the two teams are going to collide. Andrade does have the hook available, but level 1 isn't super long range. But with a concussion mine, definitely trying to get the hook in a position where they could immediately push them further back. But Andrade gonna land onto Orion, and Orion not going to get hit back. Concussion mine not going to land too much. And a lot of damage coming back from the Dragon's Breath from Xterx. A little bit of poke. But now Tunley also going to get tossed back. But it is the tank. Will be overall okay. As Omster is going to be trading over in the top side. And it is reactive party this time again. Going to be able to get that little bit of armor. Now Xterx going to start roaming to the bot side. As the rest of Yavapai is going to be coming to the bot lane as well. But before they do that on the side of CCS, Code Monkey and Orion, they're spawn camping onto this siege camp. Want to get it as soon as it's up. And Xterx should be able to just push this away. Chromie's definitely the best option for it. Has a ton of AoE with a Dragon's Breath. Is able to clear it out so quickly and efficiently. And yeah, basically no damage done over to that bot lane. Now they are going to get started onto the siege camp, but the siege camp's already finished by CCS. So the early moves definitely favoring them if they're able to accomplish anything with that move. Now Xterx just trying to clear away the spot side, trying to get the push in while there's no one here. But now the siege camps are starting to arrive, and they did bring more members as the Impale lands on its 3. Not going to make too much of a difference, but it's a nifty little bit of poke coming out. And the full wave does get denied by the cannon towers over in the bot lane. So slight XP and soak lead coming over for CCS. Now they are shoving in the Impale, not going to land onto anyone, but with the siege camp, it would be a little bit scary to dive in, but they do have the hook on a Tunley, but no follow-up available for it. And meanwhile on the top side, Ohmster and Shank fighting, and Ohmster able to back away just in time. Will mount up, take a little bit of the sip from the good old-fashioned well, and now the trade is going to be coming through once again. It is going to be Shank versus Ohmster, and they're both pretty low, but now the fight is happening over the bot side as well. Revolving sweep, not going to land back onto Tunley. So just a little bit of trading going back and forth as action happening on all sides of the map, and once again, Ohmster and Shank just trading back and forth, and with this armor, it does get very difficult for Ohmster to deal with it. No, time traps are kind of set. Everywhere Dragon's Breath just going to poke away Andrade a little bit. As Tunley trying to poke down the mid lane and get that shoved in. But the siege camp is back up. Orion and Code Monkey already getting started onto it. And should be able to clear this out very quickly. Our Ohmster is pretty low though. And that's going to get difficult because before they did use the camp. And now Camel is going to get hit by the Burrow Charge and the Impale. And will just back away. The hook has already been thrown out. Andrade taking a decent amount of poke as well. But not going to be able to commit onto any team fight. Just going to push them off of the camp. And now Shank, B9, and Ohmster, they've both roamed down to this fight. So all 10 members are going to be here. Level 6 is going to be the level for both these two teams. Level 7 talents not coming through, but they do have the Chromie. Xtrix will have the one extra talent with the Mobius Loop. Now able to get a little bit of poke on Andrade. Andrade looking for the hook, not going to be able to land it. As Ohmster trying to channel it, but with the grenades, it's become so difficult. And they have so many different tools to be able to just interrupt this play as Xtrix still trying to poke by. Ohmster able to push Andrade back into everyone, and with the Burrow Charge, they're able to get the burst. And first blood going over to CCS, but can they still get this? The concussion mine is going to pull them back. Sarah Lynn now might be in a bit of a dangerous position. Impale not going to land thanks to that little bit of safety given by the leap of faith. But level 7 has been hit by Yavapai. They have been able to soak mid lane during all this. But CCS, they've been fighting for this positioning instead. They are down a talent, so a team fight could prove a little bit dangerous and scary for them. But they have the health orbs. They're not picking them up. Ohmster will fight it just before the end as they do start backing away. 5 seconds remaining, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get it. But now with the Burrow Charge, they are trying to contest it. They are trying to fight in the backline. Andrade is going to get hit with the Burrow Charge once again. 2 seconds remaining. And they will be able to get the first set of cavalry. But at what cost? Xtrix is going to go down as well. Tunley will follow as Ohmster and Orion are still alive, but they're in bad spots. Ohmster going to try running behind the fort and should be able to get away. But now the hook into the revolving sweep, into the carnage, and Andrade able to get the last hit. Now they got the objective as Ohmster does hearth back to safety, but they lose 4 members for it. Now they're gonna have to, they're not gonna be able to really get too much with this. They're just gonna be able to get a little bit of push, and I guess the best part for them is that Yavapai does not get this. They're not gonna be able to have the cavalry pushing in, but it is short reset timers, so they could try getting a little bit more value out of it. And Code Monkey and Ohmster, they're pushing pretty hard over in the top side, gonna take down this entire top lane wall. Mid lane cavalry also dealing good damage to the wall. Just going to take down the gate though. And may even get a little bit of poke onto the fort. But no, going to be a little bit too late. Tunley could be looking for the play. But it would be pretty dangerous to go for. Especially with the concussion mine. And now Andrade not going to get hit by the Impale. And CCS will reset. But it is still a level and a half lead for Yavapai. They managed to get some XP and some soak back. Just with that extra push, but not able to accomplish too much with it. As both teams now getting started on their siege camps, but Shank B9 going to be able to immediately get started over onto this bot lane wall. Level 10 now hit as well, so they have the heroics available. The bot lane wall will get finished off. Orion tries to clear a little bit, but not able to do it in time. And it is going to be Temporal Loop once again coming through from Xtrix. Because now the bosses have spawned, and it looks like Yavapai are looking towards it, and they will start it up. Sarah Lynn and Camel working on it together, and with the heroic advantage, it could be enough for them to be able to just grab it. But at the same time, it could also be the downfall. The CCS doesn't seem like they're wary of this. It doesn't seem like they're aware. Ohmster gonna check. Will see the rest of the team. Revolving sweep. Gonna get thrown out. Andrade still has the hook and able to land it. No Gorge, though. So they will be able to just back away. And actually, yeah, it is the Gorge. But that is going to be the top lane boss going down. But luckily, CCS, there is a boss on the opposite side of the map. And they could try and take that down. Now, do they have enough DPS to get it? All of Yavapai is on the way, and they actually will lose their healer. Will unfortunately hit the edge of that stun, and now Shank trying to get in the way is going to be contested. Can they get them off of the point? They have the Impale. They have a little bit of DPS, but now with the massive stun and the light bomb, they're going to be able to steal it as well. They hooked back Xrix revolving sweep to finish it off, and it's going to be another 3-0, and the boss going over to Yavapai. And CCS, they're in dire straits now. They needed that boss to go their way, and now they're down about 2.5 levels, and it's only going to get worse for them. The boss is hitting on the top side. The boss is hitting on the bot side. The camp has spawned, and there's no one here to defend it. They need to send members to kill the boss, or they lose their fort. But at the same time, they can't just dedicate everything there, or else they lose the cavalry. Now, they are going to have the suppression pulse, able to buy a little bit of time, but it's not enough. Xrix just barely not able to get there in time to prevent this from going over. Level 10 at least is now hit by CCS, and they do have time where they could come back to contest onto it. Now they're pinging off of the boss. They no longer want it, and I think that is the right call. I think the boss is pretty low, not going to be able to get too much value out of it. But now that they do have to fight, they do have to look towards us. They won't have suppression calls for 15 seconds, but it might come back up later in the fight. But now they are looking for the play. They do have the stun and the Impale. Sundering has been called as well. And now they are going to start trying to get it back in their favor. 0.0 seconds, and it will go down. But now the team fight. Camel is getting low. Revolving sweep onto Ohmster, but Camel will get taken down. They have the suppression pulse. Will land onto the backline. But now they do have the tank, and they are looking towards the Samuro. But now it's Andrade, kind of stuck in the middle of everyone. Xrix is going to be getting hit, and Shank B9 will be able to get the kill. And now on the backside, Ohmster gonna be just trying to charge onto Oraluna, but Oraluna should be okay. Andrade still at 400 HP, and they won't be able to have enough DPS. They will trade 1-for-1, but the prisoner camp and the cavalry will still be taken by Yavapai. And it was so close for CCS. It was literally a moment of maybe having one extra level. If they had an extra talent, they definitely win that team fight. But if they even had a level worth of stats, I think they would have had a much stronger position in that fight. The Shank P9 already onto this bot lane wall, gonna be able to clear this out with the bonus damage coming in from the cavalry. But now in the mid lane, they have the hook onto Tunley. Tunley's rooted and will be able to jump away. And with the Sundering, not going to be able to follow up. Orion throws the dogs as well. And just like that, they're going to be able to prevent the extra engage, but they lose a decent amount. Though frankly, I expected them to lose more. Their bot lane keep is still alive. Their mid and top forts are still alive. Level 14 lead right now for Yavapai, 2 levels up. But now they have the root onto Tunley, but no hook is coming through. Andrade looking for the angle. And with the Impale, will get stunned up. And they're just trying to fight back. But now Camel does jump in with the revolving sweep, forced to hook back out. And a decent bit of damage being dealt. And this mid lane fort is slowly but surely getting poked down. But level 13, finally there for CCS. They are on even talents. Heroic abilities are available for both sides as Orion looking to fight over on the backside, and Xrix looking for a Shank B9. But that is one of the most difficult heroes to lock down in the entire game. And now Tunley is in the middle of everyone, able to land the Impale on a couple members going in with the burrow charge as well. But they don't have any DPS yet. They have the cocoon landing onto Andrade, and now Camel could be in a bad spot, but will just get dumped away. But Andrade has the Gorge onto Xrix, and with the leap of faith, with a concussion mine, could try throwing Xrix further back, but Xrix will be okay. Tunley's going to be the one to jump back, and with the rocket ride, will burst down this Chromie. Tunley trying to back away as well. Carnage doing a lot of damage with the Impale. Will be able to buy the space, but the hook lands again. But now Ohmster is in the backline as well, just trying to trade back and forth. So Muro trying to create a bit of space, but finally this mid lane fort will go down, and it's a 1-0 for Yavapai. What a close fight once again. Both sides just kind of trying to trade, just kind of trying to get that little bit of extra DPS. that they need to get that victory in the team fight. But now the prisoner camps are going to be spawning in about 10 seconds. Level 16 almost there for Yavapai. And I believe 1 or 2 more waves should be able to be enough for it. And they also get that passive soak from having both those forts down. Should be able to get it soon. But now the siege camp is going to get finished off by CCS. So they will at least have the mid lane pushing in, as level 16 is finally there for Yavapai. And this is where the fights definitely start getting more dangerous for them. They're going to have to deal with this. Tank B9 just trying to stick in the bush. And it looks like CCS, they don't even want to contest it. They're going to go straight for the boss. Going to try and get a little bit of pressure somewhere. And I do believe the boss is stronger than the cavalry. So if they're able to get this and the bottom boss doesn't get thrown, they'll at least have pressure in the top side and they can just focus on defending mid and bot. As Ohms are trading with Shank B9 and actually could get the kill. And Shank B9 still looking for the swap. Ohms not going to be able to land the phase prism and runs towards the rest of the team, and with Leap of Faith will be okay. But the boss in the top lane does get cleared away. So that's going to be a little bit of pressure going the way of CCS. But the cavalry will be arriving shortly. They're going to have the extra push coming through. And how well can they defend this time around? They are slowly buying time. Shank B9 going to jump away. They do have the bro charge just barely out of range. But now Shank B9 able to get the swap. But Ohms not going to be able to follow up too hard. It's so difficult to lock down at Samuro. I don't blame them at all. But now the boss will actually be able to trade onto the top lane fort. And this is pretty big for CCS. Unfortunately, the boss is going to ignore the cavalry. So while it does buy a little bit of time, it's not going to be able to buy them enough. And now Ohms are getting jumped upon by Shank B9. And with the extra buff, could be difficult. They have the chain lightning, but not going to be able to follow through on any play here. Now they're looking slowly but surely finishing off this mid lane cavalry, and now it's just the bot and the top one remaining. Now the top one will definitely be able to get this fort, and I don't think they should be going for it. I think they should try and push for the bot side, and it does seem like that's where CCS is going to go. They need to try and protect this keep. Shank B9 slowly getting jumped upon, but once again should be pretty safe on that Samuro. Code Mike is just kind of running them down. Not too much they can do, but in the meanwhile, this top lane is slowly getting pushed in. The chastise not going to land on Ohmster, but now they do have the concussion mine. And with that, they're going to finish off this wall. The bot lane has been cleared away, but now they have Andrade in the backline. Ohmster in the backline as well, and Suppression Pulse lands on 4 members. They had the Temporal Loop, but it is going to be on the Stitches, the tankiest member, but they're jumping on a Camel. Camel taking a decent amount of damage in the backline, and is going to be the Cocoon. Andrade going to land the Light Bomb just onto the main tank. Andrade also starting to get really low. Camel will get saved, but Andrade is going to be the one losing out. So it is the 1-0. Ohms still looking for another play, looking for Camel. Will be able to get the phase shift swap, but it's 1v2 with the healer and the chastise and the carnage. Camel will be able to get that kill, and during that, Shank B9 able to get the kill over the bot side, but now Shank B9 is going to get hit. Gonna be able to land with the impale, but is slowly just jumping away so low. But do they have a way of catching up? They have a couple more autos and will jump away, will go invisible, and will get to safety. But CCS, slowly but surely, they are starting to win some of these fights. But right now, the issue is you're into a Samuro. When you're into a Samuro, playing the map becomes so much more difficult, so much more complicated. And every time they win the fight, they do lose something. Now, hopefully with this camp, they can take down this this bot lane fort. But the walls are looking pretty healthy as well. And the entire side of Yavapai, with the exception of Shank B9, who once again is splitting over into the mid lane and actually gonna get suppression pulse just to slow down this push. Shank B9 could be in a bad spot, but will just be able to jump away to the top side and will be safe. Now the boss is going to clear away a good chunk of the wall, has the stomp as well to take down the gate, but likely will not be able to even damage the fort. But it's still going to be a little bit of experience going the way of Crimson Cyber Squad. And with the final stomp, we'll finish off the wall, but no auto going to get hit onto this fort. But level 20 about to get hit by Yavapai, and it is going to be the double temporal loop. So going to be a pretty major cooldown. Shank B9 hiding in the brush, and I believe is behind the team, and no one knows they are there. Level 20 finally hit. The camp is finally spawning. And the entire team of CCS is running down to the bot lane. And I actually really like this because it seems like their strategy right now, they know they're probably not going to be able to fight for this, at least not right away. They're going to try and take down the fort and see what they can do afterwards. Now, Shank B9 was looking to try and backdoor a little bit onto this keep, but they have Ohmster there in the defense. Now, find a little bit of damage. Will be able to clear out this bot lane fort. Now, what are they going to do next? They have a slight push happening in the mid lane. Do they want to continue with that? As we do have a pause, so we will go back to a short break as I'll see what's going on there. So there is a DC, so may take a little bit of time. Hopefully not going to take too long there. As I will get a little bit of that background music going, because what is a break without music? So that is going to be the second technical difficulty of the night. And I don't know if it's just been me or if it's just been everyone for NGS. But I think this is 5 out of 6 series I've cast in a row. Or at least days. Maybe not series, but days. Where I've had pauses during all of this. But now it does seem like they are ready to get back in. So music goes off immediately. And we are getting back into the game. So now both teams are going to be here already on the camp once again. But it does look like CCS, they're going to ignore it. And they're going to just try and take this mid lane fort instead. So they actually get a decent amount of structures by giving away this prisoner camp. I think this is worth it for CCS. Because this is going to significantly lower the pressure. And if they're able to get the siege camp as well, they're going to be even closer to that level 20 when they do spawn. But the danger is, are they going to be allowed to leave? I think this may be the team fight, as they're actually going to immediately use the rocket ride. Stace is going to get thrown by Xerx, but obviously nowhere to go. Light bomb committed as well, and that will be a kill going over the way of Yavapai. But they have all their waves pushed in. They could take the time to just clear some of these away, but instead it looks like they are going to be working towards the reset. Gonna head back over to the mid lane, but they're not hearthing. They could be looking for the fight instead. Ohmster will be hearthing. Gonna start grouping together. Now Tunley gonna be walking it a little bit. Gonna hit the impale, and with a bro charge will be able to get away. But now Ryan with the sunring able to pull them all into the back and suppression pulls. And I do think they're just trying to buy time right now. They do have another charge of suppression pulls coming up shortly. Ryan still dealing some damage, but they will be able to finish off this fort for now. But now they have a massive stun over the backline. Cold Monkey gonna get gorged, gonna get thrown onto these traps, and will get finished off as well. But now they do have the Ancestral healing, and Cold Monkey's actually okay. But Camel still able to deal so much damage with the Carnage. Orion starting to get low, will be able to blink away. Tunley now going to be the next target with the bro charge. Will be able to get back, but the final hit will get the kill, and all keeps are now gone. Can they still survive? It is 5v4. There are still 2 more of these coming through. Andrade starting to get quite low. 50 HP will get finished off. So now they can start defending, but there's so many cavalry. They have the perfect Venn diagram, and they're going to be able to do it. Solo lane, Yavapai County Municipal Youth Chess Club and Swim Team, Somewhere Global, Sonic and Friends, Return to the King Tournaments of Champions, the sequel, are going to get the domination into CCS. And pretty big win for them. And once again, CCS, they're showing that they can compete. They're showing they can get individual plays working. As soon as they're going to be able to start stringing those plays together, that's when they're going to start being a really competitive team over in this Division E. With that being said, this first series is over. I'm going to try and get an interview. We should have time before the start for our next series. So I'm going to see if anyone is available for that. Oh, Why are there 2 teams that I can pick? I'm so confused. Yeah, give me one moment. Yeah, for some reason they have 2 potential tags. I'm not sure how that happened. But either way, gonna get ready in one moment. Let me just get this thing done. And then hopefully someone can join in for that interview. And it does look like Andrade will be heading in. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, congratulations on a domination. 4 huge points going over your way with that victory.
Yeah, thanks. It was I felt like we played really, really well today. A lot of our work is starting to pay off, I think.
Yeah, you had a lot of smooth rotations, you had a lot of good pickoffs. And I especially wanted to commend you. Once you started getting leads, you were able to hold on to them, and I think that's a very huge milestone for any team.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think that we've been good at recently in the last couple seasons is just making sure that our macro game is good enough to where if we get down in like kills or something, or we get ambushed a couple times, we can still keep it close. And so I think that sort of helps with the staying ahead once we get a lead.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been working for you so far. It's definitely paid off in this series.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, I did want to ask a little bit about that draft, especially in the second game. Kira, Samuro, and Stitches all locked in. Pretty interesting draft, and what are your thoughts behind that?
I mean, Stitches is with Anduin and or Medivh. If you can time it right, Stitches is pretty good with the human trafficking comp. And so after we locked Anduin, we were talking about that, and I was like, all right, we can go Stitches. And then Camel likes Kira, is pretty comfortable on Kira, and so we figured, well, again, Stitches gets a hook, Kira can follow up, or if Kira gets an E, Stitches can hook the target. And then Shancy likes playing Samuro. That's one of his heroes.
Shancy, wow, I was mispronouncing that so badly.
Oh no, Dave! If you were saying Shank B9, that's totally fine.
That's what I'm saying, but I will remember Shancy from now on. Next question I have, not really related to the games, but the paragraph that is your team name. How did you come up with that?
Okay, so however many seasons ago, we were coming up with a team name, and we were just trying to think of really, really ridiculous ideas. And then someone found an image of like someone playing chess underwater. And we were like, okay, well, how can we build around that? And then we started brainstorming, and then we were like, well, how long can we make our name to like legally still like be within the rules? And so it just sort of devolved and came from all of that. And then we started tagging them with each season with a different Star Wars movie. And so now we're on the shows because we ran out of movies.
So do you already know what your next season's name's going to be as well, or no?
Not yet. We have a couple ideas, but none of them are calling to us yet.
All right. Well, hopefully you do stick together and are able to play next season. Now, my final question, and I ask everyone this, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans out there? Any shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, just thanks to the people who tune in to watch our band of doofuses play. We like playing, and we try to put on a show. So those of you who enjoy it, thank you. Shout out to our team. Really good work today. Good job. And then shout out to the Fresh Vibes Cantina.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations on your win, and hopefully I'll be able to cast some more of your games later this season.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. Thanks for the cast. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye. And now the interview is done, and we are going to go to a short break, but the stream is not over. We are going to be moving into the Heroic Division instead, as we do have a match going on between Potential Scrim Thursday and 925. The Heroic Division is going to be coming up shortly. Now, first, unfortunately, we are going to have to go to a break. The map will start in about 15-ish minutes. So this is now a perfect time. Take a bio break, get some snacks, get some drinks, some hot cocoa, and just have a blast and enjoy even more amazing hot NGS action. And I'll be back very soon.